On January 23rd, Britain confirmed in a joint statement that 24 countries, including the United States, Germany, and Australia, conducted additional strikes against 8 targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen a day earlier. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak also warned that there could be further bombing of Yemen if Houthi attacks on shipping lanes in Red Sea continue. The Houthis claim that their assaults are in solidarity with Palestinians amid Israel's continued offensive in Gaza. These attacks have caused disruptions in global shipping, heightening concerns that the repercussions of the Israel-Hamas conflict could destabilize the Middle East, impacting global geopolitics and the economy. To delve into the intricacies of the Red Sea crisis, we are joined by Ebrahim Hashem, an Emirati strategist and Asia Global Fellow at Hong Kong University's Asia Global Institute. Welcome to CGTN, Ebrahim.
Thank you very much.
What's your take on the latest airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen carried out by the US, UK, and their allies?
This is a long story. It did not really start basically on the 12th of January when the attacks against the Houthis took place. It did not even start on the 7th of October when the Palestinians attacked Israel. It started basically in 1948 when Israel was established as a state in our region. And since then, the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian land has been a major issue. And of course, before we talk about the attacks against the Houthis, we have to really link these attacks with what's happening in Palestine, especially since the 7th of October. The Israeli army has been really bombarding and committing massacre, especially in Gaza, but not only in Gaza, but also in West Bank. And since then, the whole region has been really furious about, the practices and the war crimes, basically, against the Palestinians committed by the Israelis. And the Houthis, their attacks against the ships in the Red Sea around Bab al-Mandab Strait, in their words, is basically in retaliation or in solidarity with the Palestinians. And they are demanding that these atrocities being committed by the Israeli army against the Palestinians stop, and the humanitarian aid that is not really flowing smoothly to the Palestinians in Gaza Strip should be allowed to just, move in. So there's a direct link between what's happening in the Red Sea around Bab al-Mandab Strait and what's happening in Gaza.
From an international law perspective and under UN conventions, how do you assess the legality of the US and the UK and their allies' strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen?
Actually, these attacks against the Houthis raise more questions than answers. So when the Americans and the British attacked the Houthis or launched attacks against the Houthis, they are not really an army. They do not have well-defined army bases. They do not have, tanks, airplanes. What they are actually doing to disrupt the freedom of shipping, the freedom of operations in the Red Sea, is basically they're launching attacks, militia attacks, guerrilla type of attacks, using drones, using missiles. And these missile launchers are not really fixed in one place. They are mobile, and the launchers are mobile, and they are hidden, concealed from the eyes of the world. So these attacks by the Americans and the British, one wonders whether they will be effective and whether they are going to eliminate the root causes of the problem. These root causes are not really located in Yemen. They are located in Gaza. They are located in the West Bank. What's happening in Gaza is basically causing the Houthis to launch all these attacks. And as far as the legality and the international law, when the Security Council met on the 10th of January to discuss, the disruptions in the Red Sea and around Bab al-Mandab, the members of the Security Council managed to issue a resolution, and that resolution condemned these Houthi attacks against the international ships going through the Red Sea and going through Bab al-Mandab. But that resolution did not really give the authorization, or at least it did not really give open authorization to go and attack the Houthis. But there was a very interesting item within the resolution draft that really talks about the United Nations law of sea. There's an item there that highlights the possibility of actually using force against anybody that really disrupts international trade in the sea anywhere. So basically, possibly the Americans and the British using this part of the law to really launch these attacks against the Houthis.
Can you explain briefly the importance of the Red Sea shipping lanes to global economy, and what economic consequences can be anticipated due to disruptions in the Red Sea shipping routes?
If we just look at the Red Sea and the maritime route of Red Sea, so you have the Suez Canal and then down to Red Sea and then down to Bab al-Mandeb and then out to Gulf of Aden and then the Arabian Sea, and then you have the Indian Ocean. Through this route, you have more than 20% of international container traffic really going every day, and around 15% of the entire global trade goes through it, and around 12% of the maritime crude oil, 8% of the LNG, the liquefied natural gas, goes through it. So this is really critically important. And then if you just really look at individual countries, India, China, around 80% of India's trade that goes to Europe goes through the Red Sea. And then for China, it's around 60%. So this is a very, very important maritime trade lane, and that has to be really, really protected and secure. When the British and American forces launched attacks against Houthis in Yemen, there was a spike of around 2.5% in oil prices, and of course. If you have a spike in oil prices, that will have a domino effect on the prices of the rest of the products. And as you know, when the pandemic happened and there were disruptions in the global supply chains, there was an increase of 1% in inflation, global inflation. And a lot of people now are afraid that something similar might happen if this whole saga continued.